You ever have one of those days where you think you're living in a sitcom, but the laugh track never shows up? That's exactly how this started. Standing on a sun-baked sidewalk, bottle of water in one hand, floor plan in the other, just trying to check out a rental house like any regular person who reads their lease before signing. Except apparently, in this neighborhood, just looking at a house means you've signed up for their personal twilight zone. I swear, the first time somebody told me I wasn't allowed to live anywhere outside their subdivision, I actually laughed out loud. Sounded like a punch Linethos people in neon vests who act like they're guarding the country border, you know what I mean? Only this wasn't a joke. Next thing I know, there's a woman clipboard, laminated badge, everything calling 911 on me like I'm trespassing on state secrets. She waves me off with the kind of dramatic flourish you only see in HOA board meetings or bad community theater, and starts telling the dispatcher, right there for everyone to hear, that I have to rent from them just because I toured one of their houses. Let me back up a sec. The place looked straight out of a catalog mailboxes in neat little clusters, saplings all lined up, driveways you could eat off of. I'd booked a showing for one of the rental houses the HOA owns, the kind for people who might want to buy eventually but aren't ready to commit. Sounded practical on paper, you know? The listing said, managed by the community, which should have been my first warning. But hey, optimism dies hard. I didn't expect to get greeted by Marvaith compliance officer with a smile sharp enough to slice drywall. She tells me with a straight face, "You toured, so now the visitation covenant applies. You have to submit a rental application within 24 hours. Like, I stepped onto their property and now I'm contractually theirs?" I tried to argue, pointing at the leasing sign like it was a secret weapon. "Look, I'm not a member. I'm just visiting. This is a civil thing, not criminal." But Marva's badge was shining, and her patience was not. That's when Dad's voice crept in, reminding men ever argue too long with someone whose favorite accessory is a rulebook. He always said, boundaries are about agreements. If you didn't sign, you didn't agree. And also, keep your phone on record when you sense crazy. So, I slipped my phone into my pocket and let it run. Police showed up in 7 minutes. Officer Dominguez, calm, professional, the kind of guy who probably diffuses family Thanksgiving arguments for sport, asked for names, heard both sides, and then hit Marva with a question that changed the whole weather. "Ma'am, do you have any actual authority over people who haven't signed your covenants, haven't bought or rented from you?" Marva didn't blink. "Visitors must comply," she said, like she was reciting a spell. But Dominguez, bless him, wasn't buying. Visiting isn't agreeing to a contract. You can ask him to leave private property, but you can't make him rent a house. He turns to me, "Is this a public right-of-way?" I hold up the county plat because of course I printed it out. Marva's smile flickered for the first time. Officer explained 911 isn't for enforcing private bylaws. If Marva kept it up, she'd be cited for misuse. I was free to tour the property. Marva stomped off, radio crackling, probably plotting her next move. But then, surprise Trent, the leasing coordinator, shows up, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Sorry about that," he says, unlocking the door. He's got the vibe of a guy who got into real estate to escape something worse. We walk through the house, nice, kind of generic, the kind of place where nothing breaks but nothing quite sticks in your memory either. Trent does the spiel paint colors, garbage cans, Marva. I tell him I like the place, but I'm still looking. He breathes out, grateful. No pressure. As I leave, Marva's at the end of the block, glare full power. I end up at another showing, older place, massive pecan tree, cheaper rent. I sign there the next morning, thought that was the end of it. Except by lunchtime, there's a certified letter from the HOA in my mailbox. My new mailbox at a place I'd never told them about. Inside, an invoice for a tour fee equal to half a month's rent, threats about credit reporting, and a demand that I can't live outside their boundary for a year unless they say so. I read it 3 times. Felt like I'd tripped into some fake country with its own rules. I call Trent, furious. He sounds exhausted. I know how it sounds. He can't say much, but asks me to call him from a number that isn't mine. Now, I'm not a conspiracy guy. My wild Saturday nights involve reading warranty deeds for fun. But even I know that when a leasing agent whispers, "Call me from a burner," You're in deep. I get the real story that night Marva makes the rules and she decided that if you tour, you're a conditional tenant, which they then report as occupancy to their bank. More bodies on the spreadsheet means the lender sees higher numbers, which keeps the HOA's dues lower, so she says. Trent admits they used a screening service to dig up my new address technically to confirm identity, but we both know what's up. I tell Trent this is not just shady, it's illegal. He begs me not to use his name. I hang up, feeling that old anger build. But I don't fight with my heart. I fight with paperwork. I send a certified letter to the board, reject their bogus obligation, demand they stop any reporting, ask for the legal basis of their claim, demand to know how they got my address, insist all future contact be written only. Then I send another round to the real estate division, the Attorney General, City Code Enforcement, each with a copy of Marva's 9/11 performance, the invoice, and my questions about legalities. 2 days later, the board emails me, "Your obligation stands. Pay by Friday. We will exercise all rights." I smile, whisper, "Please do." Then, because Petty is my middle name, I go back to the neighborhood just to measure the sidewalk. Brought my measuring wheel, bright orange hat. Within minutes, a golf cart rolls up this time. It's Rico, not Marva. "You with the city?" he asks. "Nope. Just a guy who likes straight lines." Marva shows up, predictably steamed. She threatens. I remind her about public right-of-way and the officer's words. She warns I've made a powerful enemy. I tell her, my endurance is not where you want to test me. That week, the city's code enforcement, the real estate division, and the Attorney General's office all get involved. Inspector Ken calls, schedules a site visit, and asks for my photos. The real estate folks want records of the HOA's rental program. The consumer unit asks if I have proof they pulled my consumer report. I give them the audio and explain what Trent told me. Facts, not spice. Sitting on my new stoop under that pecan tree, it feels wild that so much trouble came from a tour I didn't even finish. Then my phone buzzes. Heads up. Marva called an emergency board meeting, legal strategy. Banking continuity. Lock your mailbox. A second later, a photo comes in a community newsletter warning about suspicious vehicles stopping to measure sidewalks. They're on the defensive, but not at main side. The board is spinning. And here's the twist. Nia, a neighbor I've never met, emails to thank me. Her mom uses a wheelchair and can't get past the hedges. She's begged the HOA for help, but Marva keeps shutting her down. We meet at a coffee trailer. Nia hands me a stack of emails, all ignored by the board. Then a guy named Leerard, who looks like he could own a castle, jumps in. Turns out, he's got the original subdivision plat. Highlighted streets and sidewalks are dedicated to public use. He prints copies for every new owner, just to prove the HOA doesn't own the whole world. After that, Marva calls and leaves a message dripping with legal threats, demanding I cease my harassment and pay the tour fee. I decide, fine, let's get the police call audio. Public records request, easy. A few days later, I have the recording, her telling 911 I can't leave until I check in at the leasing office. Dispatcher, "Ma'am, that's not a police matter." Gold. Suddenly, city trucks and a fire marshal show up. Nia sends photos, hedges measured, boulders tagged, hydrant access cited. HOA gets hit with violations. Fix the sidewalks or pay daily penalties. Tear down their unpermitted security kiosk. Homeowners are in uproar. Screenshots of internal forums fly my way. Some blame the hedges, some blame the city, some just want to know who called. Inside the board, paranoia sets in, the eerie hunting for a leak. Trent, now basically a secret agent, calls again. Tells me Marva's counting visitors as tenants for bank loans. Then this is the kicker, he emails me a memo and a spreadsheet proving it. My name's there. Decline to comply. I send the whole packet to the bank, the real estate division, and the consumer unit. I don't accuse, just present the evidence. Banks move slow, but this one sends a guy in a gray suit to buy me coffee. He asks about the plat, occupancy, risk. Leaves me with his card. If anyone tries to intimidate you, call. I figure that's the end of a tunnel. Rico and a buddy drive a golf cart onto my street at night, taking pictures. "You owe a tour fee," he says. I warn him off, neighbor witnesses, police report filed. Within a week, regulators descend. Orders fly. HOA has to shut down their visitor tenancy scam, refund illegal fees, hire a licensed manager, fire the golf cart brigade. Hedges get trimmed, boulders disappear, the kiosk vanishes. Nia's mom finally rolls down a safe sidewalk. The city finds the old board. State real estate steps in. Even the bank demands honest records. Recall election happens, Marva ousted, Nia elected, Trent back on the job. A formal apology, refund forms, and a new era dawns. My own small claim goes through. They agree never to contact me again. I celebrate with pecan cookies under the tree. And if you think that's the last word, think again. At a yard sale, I spot their security plaque for sale, left it there. Get a glittery thank you from Nia's family. Everything audio, letters, city tags goes in a binder. I label sidewalks and boundaries. The moral? Contracts only bind people who sign. Sidewalks are public. No one can invent a debt with fancy letterhead. And if you call 911 because someone walked out without checking in, you'd better hope the dispatcher's in a good mood. So, here I am, clear sidewalk, no bogus debts, a pie cooling on the counter, friends waving across the street. Justice tastes a lot like homemade cookies. And now I want to know, have you ever gone up against an HOA or seen a neighborhood war break out over something wild? Was I right to push back? Or was there a better way? Drop your stories and tell me where you stand. Who gets to draw the lines where you live? Let's hear your side.